Welcome to the Confidence Through Health podcast. My name is Jerry Snyder. As a health, wellness, and sports performance coach, my goal each week is to bring you experts to help you take control of your health and build your self-confidence. Thanks for including me today on your journey to better health. I want to say thank you to Social Media Cowboys for sponsoring this week's episode of the Confidence Through Health podcast. If you need help with a website, if you need social media needs for your business, if you need help with AdWords, SEO, all those things that you know you should be doing, but you are too busy to do or you're too confused about, they are the experts that you need in your corner. If you're interested in launching a podcast, such as mine, they help me edit my podcast and do a fantastic job making sure that all of the technical side of it is handled and we launch a nice, neat, edited podcast episode each week. So I want to thank Social Media Cowboys for their continued sponsorship of the Confidence Through Health podcast. You can find them at socialmediacowboys.com, or you can find them as well with other sponsors at confidencethroughhealth.com. Anu, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Confidence Through Health podcast.
Thank you so much, Jerry. It's a pleasure, and I'm so excited to speak with you. I love the name of your podcast. Because it really aligns with my philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And, I believe that you flourish from within. And only when you flourish in this body can you actually go out and do things that you're meant to do, whatever meaning means for you or purpose in life.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. Yeah.
Well, and I've said this like early on in my podcast, so it's probably worth repeating, but the name actually came from, it's the name of the book that I wrote. And I was struggling, like the book came out very quickly and it was like very easy and fluent and just like, people are shocked, I think sometimes when I tell them that the first draft, like I wrote it in 12 days, like just bam, just came out but I didn't have that name, that title just wasn't there. And, my editor she goes, okay, what do you want people to get from this book? And I said, oh, I want them to get confidence. And she goes, okay, that's the name, Confidence Through Health. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like,
but that's
it's
great.
so perfect.
But I'm glad the editor said that because sometimes, like when I came up with Flourish from Within for my book, I was told that it was too general. You need to really kind of market to people so they buy the book. But it didn't feel right in my body. I felt like this is what I believe. I believe you need to flourish from inside of you before you could just move on to other things. And so I just stuck with it. I said, okay, you buy my book or you don't buy my book. This is my message.
Right. Well, and that mindset though it can be difficult in today's society.
Yeah.
Right. It's not something that we think about necessarily. We think about, oh, we're going to benefit because we get this thing or that thing that we're going to add to our life, whether it's an asset or an experience or, but we don't think about, oh, what's actually happening inside is more important and it's going to show up from the outside, like from the inside out is far more important, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. So you need to you need to really, I mean, without help and without that confidence flowing through you because of your health, you emanating who you are, how is it even possible? Like I see people who are sick all the time and they're not thinking about, oh, what is my purpose today? What do I do? I mean, who cares about work, when you're not feeling right in your body,
Right.
I mean, a lot of us, we feel like what defines us is our work, right? That brings value or meaning or whatever it is, that's a big part of what we do is that it's purposeful. But when your body is not cooperating with you, it is so hard to really go into anything else. And no, most of us don't recognize that until we lose it.
Yeah.
That's just reality, and now I've experienced it myself. I took my health for granted and paid a price.
Yeah.
And that taught me a lesson that this is important, taking care of me. I have to love me first before I go love the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things that, and we talked a little bit before we started recording. That's one of the things that I tell a lot of people when it comes to like the from the ancient biblical texts is you take care of yourself first and then you go take care of other people, whether it's and a
Yeah,
lot of people read that as like, oh, the household, okay, we'll take care of the household first and then go. But this body that we're in is our household. That's the only thing that we have. And if
yeah,
we don't take care of that, then it is really hard to take care of other people. And I think moms know this,
yeah,
entrepreneurs know this who are required to be at work and lead their teams. And when you get sick and you can't be there, like it gets really hard to get things
yeah.
done. And when you're a mom and you're sick, I mean, like
Oh,
it's
everything
difficult
falls
on
apart.
yeah, everything does, right? And I'm nothing against dads. I do my part to help out as much as I can, right? But it's so difficult when mom is in charge of all the different things that she is with the kids,
Yeah,
and really at any age.
yeah.
The kids, they don't have to be infants in this
Yeah,
scenario.
a lot of
It's
times
any
it's the
age.
emotional anchor, right?
Hmm.
And emotionally, if you're spent because physically you're like, I can't really focus on anything because I don't have
Yeah.
the energy. I don't know what's happening with my body. How
Mhm.
can you actually give to another person, even if it's your baby,
Yep.
even if it's your spouse who you love with all your heart and or your parent or whatever,
Hmm.
it's hard because you're restricted by your own inability to show up as the best version of yourself.
Right. And so the idea of how do we take care of ourselves from within then, right,
Yeah,
becomes the question. And I know that that's something that has gotten a lot of traction recently, as far as like the last several years and decade or so, as far as the gut microbiome and understanding a lot more about what's going on inside is. Um, but there's still a lot. There's a big like barrier in our society of like there's a knowledge understanding, but then there's like to actually do it.
yeah,
I think there's a big barrier for people.
yeah. And I think the barrier really comes from well, two things, I think twofold. One is not having a system to follow.
Hmm.
People don't, I mean, we all have ideas and goals. We want to be better. It's just
Hmm.
a human thing. I want to do better. I want to be better. And we make goals, but just goals by themselves don't work
Right.
because there's no system to support it. And I think that's where that's the most reflecting I've done
Mhm.
as a business owner, as really looking at my own philosophy in life. I think if you want to achieve something, you need to have a supporting cast, you need to have a
Hmm.
supporting system. And
Hmm.
that could mean that, okay, this is something that I'm going to do until it becomes a habit.
Right.
Most people give up before it becomes a habit. I'm sure
Yeah.
you have many people who tell you, "Oh, I want to be a runner."
Hmm.
The minute they have a little bit of knee pain
Yep.
or it becomes a little bit too excruciating, they give up.
Yeah.
But what did they do before to get their body ready to be that
Hmm.
endurance athlete? Or
Yeah.
that becomes, I think, the most important thing, getting this body ready
Hmm.
to do whatever work you want this body to do, I
Right.
think.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's a key point because the people that come to me for nutrition help or for weight loss help, a big thing that they want to know, of course, and I get it, I understand it. They're like, okay, why does this cost so much, or why do you do this, or why does this take so long, or how long till we get results? And I sort of jokingly tell them like, if you just want a meal plan that's healthy, I can send that to you, and you can just go, boom, here's what I eat, boom, 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 throughout the day, da 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 da, da, day after day after day. I said, and you'll fail because you're not set up to make that change yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and that's where I think the individual pieces of each of
Yeah.
us come into play because you can't just take somebody from from just saying, hey, I want to make a change and then go,
Yeah.
here's 100% the correct way. Now just
Yeah.
start doing that. It doesn't work.
No, because the mindset needs to be reframed. So it's
Right.
a big part of the journey, you
Hmm.
know. Um, my the system that I offer is MBHR,
Hmm.
microbiome, brain, hormones, and R stands for reframing mindset.
Hmm.
And I think that's, as coaches, that's a big part of what we do.
Yeah.
And it's always client led. And a lot of
Right.
people come to me thinking that I'm just going to tell them what to do. I mean, if I tell them what to do, it'll probably last a couple of days. They'll say, okay, this is great, Anu. I just accomplished this and fine.
Right.
But they're never going to remember because it's not theirs to remember.
Yep.
But if it is client led and if they are the masters of their destiny and we're just guides by the side, completely changes. They are
Yeah.
like 3, 4 years, they've maintained the weight.
Hmm.
They feel healthy in their body. They become
Yep.
proactive about their own life. And that is what I want for every client. I want
Yeah.
them to be the masters of their own destiny. And the only way to do that is if they say, I am the leader. This is my journey.
Hmm.
My coach is there just to guide me when I need help.
Yeah.
And that cannot come from a meal plan.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Um, and so you said a word in there that I noticed on your website as well, and I was going to ask you about this because a lot of a lot of the pharmaceutical things that are out there in the commercials that you see for the different things that are out there for helping people with weight talk about weight management, right? And a lot of doctors talk about weight management, but you said maintenance and you put maintenance, or you put on your website that a lot of your clients call you the weight maintenance guru,
Yeah.
right? And so, but that's to me, and I talk a lot about words that we use with my clients as well, and that mindset shifting,
Mhm.
because while somebody from the outside may go, oh, maintenance and management, they sort of seem the same, but
No.
they're so different in your
Yes.
perspective of
Yeah.
your future
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about even the word managing,
Hmm.
or a manager or management, to me, it feels like work.
Hmm.
Maintaining what you have means that you already know what it takes to maintain
Right.
it.
Yep.
So there's a subtle difference
Yeah.
in the words that you use. And I,
Yep.
I 100% agree with you. I think we need to be very careful about the words that we choose to use in our life because our
Hmm.
brain is listening.
Yeah.
you know and I hear this with people all the time, and I tell my clients 60,000 negative thoughts bombard you, and if you could just somehow just shift just a little
Hmm.
bit
Yep.
to make it more positive, just imagine the ramification of that. You're just
Yeah.
going to feel so much more comfortable in your skin.
Yep.
So yeah, I
Yep.
definitely agree. And 80% of people who lose the weight gain it back.
Hmm.
And you wonder why.
Yeah.
And the main reason is this: they've
Yeah.
never quite owned the journey. You have
Right.
to own the journey. I mean, you think
Yep.
about, what is it, The Biggest Loser, people
Hmm.
like that. What happened? They were in this little cocoon.
Yep.
They lost the weight. Somebody told them, this is the meal that you need to eat. This is what you
Yep.
should do. Everything was prepared for them.
Hmm.
I'm imagining. I don't know anything about Biggest
Right.
Loser, but I know
But yeah.
that's something many people talk about.
Yep.
And I imagine one day the door opened and they went into the real world and they're just like bombarded with choices again.
Yep.
Those processed foods,
Right.
McDonald's, all of that stuff that are hyper palatable and give you
Hmm.
that dopamine
Yep.
shift. They're
Yep.
already stressed because all eyes are on them. They've lost
Hmm.
all this weight and they need to be the star. And then
Yep.
all of that's taken away when there are too many choices. The
Right.
same part of the brain that's making all these decisions of, oh, my boss wants this from me. I have a deadline. That same part of the brain is also thinking about, what should I have for lunch?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
who's going to lose here?
Right.
Definitely something lower
Yeah.
on the ladder, right?
Right.
But if you had this system around it, then it's a no-brainer. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm a person who, I don't know, runs every evening. I'm
Hmm.
a person who eats this way. You define
Right.
who you are,
Yeah.
and then the system carries you through year after year, and you don't have
Hmm.
to change as much.
Right.
Yeah.
And that identification. like that internal identification tells you like and I caution people, it's not like a fake it to make it to, type of
Yeah.
thing. It's identifying who you are so that when you go and get presented into a situation, you can go, no, that's not who I am. I'm going to pass,
Yeah.
and
And that takes a little bit of, it's hard, right? I
oh
mean,
yeah.
you are the 4 or 5 people you surround yourself with.
Mhm.
What if all the people you surround yourself with is eating very differently from you? They are
Right.
not exercising. They don't believe that your body is a temple,
Mhm.
is your temple. How are you going to accomplish that? At some
Yeah.
point, you just break down and say, okay, or you choose different friends.
Right.
I mean, that's a tough one,
Yeah.
Jerry. I don't
It
know the
is.
answer to that,
Yeah.
because you can't change your family sometimes. We were
Right.
talking about family before.
Yep.
Sometimes it's really tough,
Yeah.
to,
Yeah. It is. And but the interesting thing, and I tell people this sometimes, is that if a lot of people have worked in different jobs, right? And so you work in a job and you hang out with those people more often because you're working around them. And then you change jobs and all of a sudden like your life can change sometimes, right? Because you're in a different atmosphere. Things are happier or or
yeah.
maybe things are more toxic, right? And you
Hmm.
find yourself, and that was one of the things that I remember early on in our marriage before we had kids or anything, and it was like we sat down one time and we're like, why do we go to happy hour like 2 times a week and just sit there and complain with these people? Like, and it's all
Yeah.
coworkers, and we're less like, why? Why are we doing this? Like, it's not fun because we like taking a step back and go
Yeah.
like, okay, well, in the jobs that we didn't want to change those jobs. We liked the jobs, but we didn't have to do that piece afterwards.
Exactly.
We just,
Yeah.
joined in with it and we are like, okay, we can make that change,
Yeah.
and get away from it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it is hard to, if you've got
It,
friends that have
it
been
it
your
is
friends for
hard, and
20,
sometimes you
25
have to make
years.
a choice. You
Mhm.
have to make a choice. Is my health important? Is my life important?
Mhm.
Hanging around the same people who are toxic, who are using words that we don't want to use anymore, or who
Right.
are eating things that are detrimental to their health.
Yep.
Um, that's a choice we all have to make. And
Yep.
sometimes it comes with some sadness, because
Mhm.
any relationship that is lost is it's grief.
Yeah.
You have to let go of that grief,
Right.
but ultimately you're doing it for your benefit,
Mhm.
that you survive and you thrive, you
Right.
flourish.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really the biggest piece is like taking that step back and understanding that you're taking care of yourself and it's not about your perception around other people or any of those things because when you do that and I've heard many people especially in the entrepreneur space have said that every so often you need to take 6 months and just back away from everything, like be quiet on social media, be quiet everywhere, just sort of just like take a step back, reevaluate everything you're doing, make sure it's where you still want to go,
Yeah.
and then rejoin, right? And the interesting thing is that I've done that a couple of different times as far as like networking and things like that. And I'm currently in one of those stages where I'm taking a step back from all those things. But when I go and show up, people never like they're like, "Oh, I see you all over the place." And I'm like, "I haven't been anywhere."
Yeah.
But the perception is still that I'm out and about and I'm
Yeah.
around um and so it's the same thing with when we need to take a step back for our health. Like we're the only ones that can do it.
Yeah.
And so if we don't do it, nobody else is going to do it for us.
No, it's yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And I think this whole thing with social media and the
Mhm.
kind of business that we're all in, we're entrepreneurs, and there needs to be a good balance,
Mhm.
and I see that it's challenging today,
Yeah.
um, especially with AI.
Mhm.
People so afraid of losing their jobs, and everything
Right.
is getting a little bit more. But we've all gone through those journeys in life, right?
Oh
Things
yeah.
happen, and
Mhm.
we've managed, and that's just human spirit.
Yeah.
We managed to do that. But I think the biggest thing right now that's is health.
Hmm.
is mental and physical health. We
Hmm.
are just at a place where we've never been before. Think
Yeah.
about our parents, grandparents. They were not struggling with these chronic diseases that we are. They had other problems, right? Don't get me wrong. They died early because of whatever, not having this or that. But very different from having plenty and still being sick.
Right.
That's such a, conundrum. It's like,
Yeah.
how is this possible in a country so wealthy as America and
Right.
so many sick people? You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
and
With
and
the technology advances that are top of when you look at the different countries, America's always at the top when as far as
yeah,
medical technology advances, but
but not as
but
as far
not.
as yeah. I mean, even
Yeah.
longevity, we are kind of. I mean, that's really sad what's
Yeah.
happening. I mean, our
Yeah.
children may not live as long as us.
Right.
That's not a good
Yep.
feeling for us.
Yep. Yep.
And I think it's
Um,
not. We can change it.
oh
And
yeah.
that's my mission. I
Mhm.
feel like everyone starts focusing on themselves first,
Mhm.
not go change the world, not go
Right.
change your neighbor. Say, I start with me.
Mhm.
I take care of me. I take care of this body. And then when I start thriving, when I start healing, I'll go
Mhm.
change someone else, you
Right.
know. And I'm sure that's how it started with you. That's how it
Oh
started
yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
We didn't think about other people. We were in pain and we said,
Hmm.
I'm going to fix me.
Yep.
And I think the best thing to do is start at home,
Yep.
and maybe your children, maybe your
Hmm.
immediate family.
Right. Yep. Well, and that's one of the things that I did because I was in the corporate world and thinking that's where I needed to be and was doing all that and ignoring the calling to help people with their health and that's what I went to school for um and yeah, you get faced with a point in life sometimes where it's like, okay, you've got bills to pay and you've got to make a decision. Um, but I found myself 50 pounds heavier than I am now,
Yeah,
and which most people would not have thought that I was obese or anywhere clear like overweight or um, but I made the decision. I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, first thing I have to do is get myself back in shape, right? Like that's the first thing I have to do is take care of myself before I can go tell anybody else, hey, you should do these things
yeah,
because I don't want them to look at me and go like, well, you're not doing it, or it doesn't
exactly.
look
Who's
like
gonna
you're doing
who's
it,
gonna buy your
right? Yep.
uh,
Um, and now I get people all the time that are like, hey, if I want help, I'm going to come to you.
mhm.
I'm not going to listen to my doctor or this or that that's, overweight or dealing with chronic issues um and so it does resonate with people
Yeah,
when you can see somebody else that is actually doing it. We just need more people
absolutely.
to do it.
Yeah. And that's the main reason we're doing it, right?
Mhm.
We want
Yep.
to, yeah, I really agree with that. And I feel like um, men and women are different
Mhm.
in their health struggles and
Yep.
how our bodies change, but women especially go through so much menopause, perimenopause, and they feel very alone,
Yeah.
and I feel like even on this podcast, that's the one thing I would ask all men to
Mhm.
support your partners, support your
Yeah.
sisters when they go through things like perimenopause and menopause. They're
Mhm.
not being the word that a lot of men use, like, oh, she's being a BI, whatever,
Yep.
GCA.
Yep.
And that bothers me so much. They
Yeah.
don't they don't mean to be. Most
Right.
women are going through hormonal shifts that you have no idea what
Mhm.
these hormones do. It
Yeah.
agitates you, it makes you angry, it makes you upset, makes you sad if you don't have the right combination of hormones. That's why
Yeah.
I focus on hormones so much in
Mhm.
my program.
Yeah.
And a lot of it can be fixed through eating the right kinds of food,
Mhm.
taking
Mhm.
care of your microbiome, because your microbes change as your body goes through these different stages in life.
Mhm.
So by the time you hit menopause, when for listeners, that's the time when your period stops and you're no longer ovulating, your microbe starts resembling that of a man
Oh
because
wow.
a lot of these hormones that it was metabolizing for the
Mhm.
longest time is no longer showing up.
Mhm.
So the microbes change and you start adding belly fat, which you
Hmm.
never had before,
Right.
that is enough to cause such angst to a
Oh yeah.
woman.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, gosh, what is this? My body is changing.
Hmm.
Hot flashes to top it off, night
Yeah.
sweats. I mean, it's not a happy picture, but it's not all doomsday. It's just a new stage in life.
Yeah.
And when we have support around, when we have the men in our lives supporting us, saying, honey, you're still sexy, you're still beautiful, and I support you, I'm going to take you through this, it means such a lot. And a lot of
Yeah.
times I will tell my women clients that bring your husband in, let's do
Mm.
this together,
Right.
because he needs to understand what you're going through.
Hmm.
This is not a secret.
Right.
Everybody needs to hear what we're going through. It's been for so long that no one wants to talk about it, or
Right.
it's just like anything that's uncomfortable, we don't talk
Hmm.
about things. We
Hmm.
just kind of put it away into
Yep.
thinking that it's just going to stay there, but it never stays there. It
No.
shows up when you least
Yep.
expect it.
Yep. Yep. Well, and the connection between what we eat and our hormones is probably a lot bigger than most people realize,
Yeah,
especially when we're going through changes in life,
yeah,
right? Like there's peaks and valleys to that where it
yeah,
really gets
yeah,
influential as to what's going on in our body.
yeah. And I think there are many ways to handle that. For, let's say, we take our typical menopausal, perimenopausal, woman. She's going through a lot. Hormones are changing. She's battling with this extra weight.
Mhm.
She's moody. She doesn't know, all the rules of the game have changed, and she
Right.
doesn't know. And she's saying, "But Jerry, I'm eating just the same foods.
Hmm.
I'm eating like I did before. Why am I gaining weight on that?"
Yeah.
And the big reason is their microbes are changing, their hormones are shifting, all of that.
Hmm.
And if someone is listening and they're struggling with, let's say, hot flashes, we know we have a lot of research that if they start supporting their microbes and adding a lot of plant sources rich in polyphenols and things like that and even soy, because it's really high in phytoestrogens, and there's a lot of understanding around soy.
Yeah.
And gosh, there's it's the Japanese that, I mean, all the healthiest populations have used it,
Yep.
and it's not been detrimental to them. So
Yep.
if you add in some of these foods rich in phytoestrogens and polyphenols, research is showing us that the hot flashes and all these symptoms decrease.
Yeah.
And like I tell my clients, don't take anybody's word for it. Try it for a week. See how
Hmm.
your body responds to it.
Hmm.
If you like it, start making more changes. That's
Right.
the best way to do it, because you know your body better than anyone else.
Mhm.
So I don't even go there and say, "Oh gosh, I have the answer for you,"
Yeah.
because
Right.
none of us do.
Yeah.
I mean, our clients know their bodies so well. I mean, it's just
Yep.
a matter of changing a few things to see what happens.
Hmm.
But from a microbial perspective, I think, yes, a lot of people, you probably have a lot of athletes who come to you, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And the big question could be protein.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
I get that question all the time.
all the time.
All
And
the
I,
time.
I, I agree, protein is very important. And
Hmm.
the analogy that I use is protein. It's like when you're building a house, protein is, builds the muscles. It's like the bricks
Right.
that gives set the foundation for the house, right?
Right.
You need the bricks
Yep.
for that structure, for that foundation. But we also need fiber.
Hmm.
And fiber is like the mortar that
Right.
holds that structure together.
Hmm.
Without that mortar, you're going to have cracks in the foundation. Things are going to
Hmm.
crumble. And
Right.
the reason I say that is fiber um, produces a lot of healthy compounds for us. It's doing a
Hmm.
lot of behind the scenes work for us,
Right.
because it's the biggest fuel for our microbes. So
Right.
evolutionary speaking, our micro we just co-evolved with these microbes.
Mhm.
Just for everyone who's listening, the microbiome is on us, every part of us. But for the purpose of this conversation, let's talk about the gut microbiome. We have
Yep.
trillions of bacteria in our gut,
Right.
and we've co-evolved with them, and we have a sort of a symbiotic partnership. It's like, hey, I do this for you, you do this for me. And
Right.
what we've done for them is we promised them foods that are high in fiber,
Hmm.
that's fuel for them. And we've given them that warm place in our colon for them to exist. And
Right.
they, in turn, they take all this protein, I mean, they take all this fiber and they make short chain fatty acids, butyrate, things like that, that really help quell that inflammation, really help
Right.
us recover fast after a sports event, things like that. And so it's a very symbiotic partnership.
Hmm.
So when we start ignoring that, then we're in trouble. Then
Yep.
there's no mortar to hold that house structure together.
Right.
So for me, the philosophy is very simple: anchor your protein, but surround with uh, diverse sources of fiber. So you're fueling your microbes, the protein is fueling your muscles.
Right.
That's, I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that my immediate answer to people when they ask me about, where do you get your protein? Because I'm getting it through this, or this, or whatever. And one of the things I always say is like, okay, well, what about but all the micronutrients? Because you can eat something high in protein and miss some of the micronutrients you need to
Yeah.
be able to combine everything, right? And you're going to get those from things that have more fiber. And I'm like, so you've got to make sure that you get
Yeah.
all of those things.
Because we
Um,
can't make those micronutrients. You're getting it from
right,
your diet.
right.
So anything that is just, if you're mono eating, chances are you're not feeling nourished. And when you're not
Yep.
feeling nourished, what is your brain doing? It's going
Mhm.
looking for these nutrients.
Mhm.
And and that's one of the reasons we eat more than we should,
Yeah.
because we're constantly searching for
Mhm.
nutrients. I think it was Kevin Hall who did that big research where he said that people who ate ultra processed foods, they consumed more than 500 calories extra.
Mhm.
Because what's in ultra processed foods? Nothing.
Nothing.
The food
Nothing.
industry has made sure of that, that there's not
Yeah.
enough protein, there's not enough fiber. These are
Right.
the two things that satiate us. You
Hmm.
know, fiber for and protein for your structure, for your muscle synthesis, all of that, and fiber to fuel your microbes. When
Yep.
they don't put either of those things in these ultra processed foods, a lot of
Right.
sugar, flour,
Yep.
things that are hedonic in nature, you know,
Hmm.
they kind of get you excited about, oh, this makes me feel great.
Right.
But how long does it make you feel great?
Yeah.
You need more and more of that
Hmm.
to feel good on
Yep.
these processed foods. Yeah.
Yep. Well, and that's another thing I always clarify with people, is if 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 you're not if you're an endurance athlete, okay, it might be different. But for the average person who's not getting probably enough exercise and they're overweight and they're trying to figure out how to make changes in their diet, and I'm like, okay, if you eat something and an hour later you're hungry again, either you didn't if it was whole food, okay, then maybe you didn't eat enough. But if it was whole food, I highly doubt you're going to be hungry in an hour, because what's causing that is that the brain going, "Hey, I'm glad you gave me all this stuff, but none of it really helped."
Yeah. And that could be an experiment in itself.
Mhm.
Try it for a day. You know, try starting your day with some protein, whatever that protein choice is for you, and some fiber. Maybe
Right.
some good fats like
Yeah.
avocado, nuts,
Mhm.
seeds, and kind of track how long it takes for you
Yeah.
to be hungry again. Because that digestion lasts is it takes longer. Protein
Mhm.
takes longer to digest. Nuts
Yeah.
take longer to
Mhm.
digest. Fats do too. So it keeps you satiated longer.
Right.
So if you feel like, oh my gosh, that filled me up,
Mhm.
there's your answer.
Right.
And then come lunchtime, you're not ravenous and you're not like, oh, I'll eat anything right now. That's what breaks things down for people. You know, it's like this real immediate craving, like, I need to fix this, I need to fix this. Yeah.
And I tell people all the time that the fast food restaurants learned this very quickly and easily, like
Yeah.
that you've got an hour for lunch. You leave the office because you don't want to be in the, you want to get away. And so you're driving down the road and so they pipe the smoke or they pipe the smell into, and so it's like you smell it and you just immediately just turn in
Ah,
to a drive-through and you don't even realize it sometimes.
yeah.
And
And everything starts, the digestion starts, I
Mhm.
mean, when you start smelling it,
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And then you're getting stuff that's typically all one color or, it's fried. It's like you're not getting the mixture of things that you need. Um, and and so from a behavior change, one of the things I recommend to people is like just stop eating at drive-throughs.
Yeah,
Like just make that behavior change of getting in and walking into the restaurant. And like even if it's still fast food, you take it back to your car. Like, but a lot of times that will that's enough of an obstacle to make people think twice about, is that
right.
really what I should eat?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you're so right about that. I mean, if we protect our environment, even our home environment,
Hmm.
if we didn't have that big tub of ice cream in our freezer,
Yeah.
are you apt to go at 11 p.m. at night when you're feeling really kind of low,
Mhm.
or you're just, you've had a fight with your husband saying, "Oh, I'm going to get in the car, go get that."
Right.
No, most of us don't take the trouble to do that. But if it's there,
Mhm. Yeah.
we're more apt to,
Yep.
I mean, we're not going to choose broccoli at
Right.
11 p.m.,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. I've actually had somebody tell me that too. It's like if I'm going to the fridge for a snack, I'm not choosing broccoli. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
understand.
And there's
Like,
a reason for it because
yeah.
it doesn't have fat. It doesn't have
Mhm.
all the things that up your dopamine response.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons flour and sugar are so difficult to give up
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
they do that. They give you that dopamine
Mhm.
surge.
Mhm.
And people who lose weight, I would say that those are the last things you put back into your body, even
Yeah.
as an experiment, because it's so addictive. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Um, and it's addictive, but it's one of those, it's the types of foods that you can overeat very easily.
Yeah.
Right. And
Because
so
they're
it's
hyper palatable,
Mhm.
it's impossible to say no to them. I
Right.
mean, gosh, all of us, even us, we walk the talk,
Mhm.
but if we had that choice and we've had a shitty day,
Yep.
I bet you anything we both would pick the really hedonic foods
Oh
because
yeah.
that's how our brain is,
Mhm.
kind of how it's wired.
Right.
And
Yep. Well, and it's funny, and I've told this many times as far as like people ask me, okay, well, what do you do? What's your guilty pleasure? And so if I go to a race and I feel I competed well, um, most of the time that means I'm up at the top, like as far as like either winning or winning my age group or um, then I'll go get some ice cream and of course it's plant-based, which I know is a turn off for some people because they're just like, how can you eat that? It tastes like, well, when you're plant-based for 7 or 8 years, it tastes great. Um, and and so my kids now know, okay, if dad has a race, he's going to get ice cream that evening. And so they've started asking for ice cream that has dairy in it, and I'm like, okay, well, you're teenagers. I'll get what you prefer, what you like. Like, I'm not that strict on being plant-based that I'm withholding things from them that they wanted to have or try. But they know if I get something with dairy in it, dad's not going to finish it, because that's what it would. It would be like, okay, I'm going to have mine. And then like, 30 minutes later, that taste is still there. That craving's still, it's like turned it on. I'll go finish theirs when I
Yes.
shouldn't. And I know I shouldn't. And so I joked like, oh, you do that because I can't have it. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, hey, that's actually a good thing
Yeah.
because now I'm not having, my
And
plant
again,
plus
that's a definition,
theirs.
right? You've kind of
Mhm.
really come up with, I am this. I'm a plant-based eater.
Mhm.
So right there, you put on the brakes on whatever is out there, and we can make our own decisions on that. Not
Right.
everyone is going to have the same, I am a plant-based eater. It could be something
Right.
else.
Sure. Yep.
I don't do I don't do white foods,
Hmm.
like something like that. If you
Yep.
said if you had a mantra that worked for you,
Right.
then it kind of prevents you from all the excess that's
Hmm.
out there. You go
Yep.
to a party and you go in and say, "Well, I don't do alcohol." Right there, you've said, "Okay, that means I'm not taking in an acute toxin
Right.
that's going to cause my liver all kinds of problems, that my detoxification pathways are going to be suffering."
Yep.
So you've made a decision. Or you say, "I do alcohol only on special occasions." And you mark the special occasions on your calendar.
Right.
So that way you're not restricted and you don't say, "I don't ever do it." But you say,
Yep.
"Okay, I do it a few times. These are the
Right.
times I do. It's my birthday, it's my anniversary.
Hmm.
It's when where my favorite sports team won a
Right.
game."
Yep.
And then you choose those.
Yeah.
And that really helps us stay
Mhm.
within our zone and kind of protects us. If
Right.
not, it's free for all, and
Hmm.
it's not our fault. It's not about willpower.
Oh
It's
no.
just about and your hormones, your
Mhm.
brain, your microbes. You want them working with you, not against you.
Right. Well, and for people our age that like grew up with all the marketing and TV and in without the benefit of Netflix or whatever where you can get it without ads, like we were constantly marketed to all
Oh,
these slogans,
yeah.
and so immediately as soon as you have, and it's people joke about it, but as soon as you have that moment where you're, sitting, you're bored, you're stationary, that slogan for Snickers pops in your head and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
well, maybe I should get a Snick. Maybe I'm hungry for something. You're
Yeah.
not hungry for anything,
Yeah.
right? Even if it's not a Snickers, even if it's something else, you're not
Yeah.
hungry for something.
Yeah.
You
And
just,
it's funny, how that thing takes time for it to be procedural, right?
Mhm.
Like when you think about a procedural habit, it's like brushing your teeth.
Mhm.
That didn't happen overnight. Our parents really worked with us and said,
Oh
"You've
yeah.
got to brush your teeth. You've got to brush your
Mhm.
teeth." And there was a day when they didn't say that to us
Right.
because it became procedural.
Mhm.
Eating is like that, I believe.
Mhm.
When you follow this and you have some parameters and you say, "This is how I protect what I eat so I don't have all this rubbish coming into my life."
Right.
And then you can be bombarded by these things. Just the other day, we were watching something on TV, and there was this, I think it was Domino's or some kind of pizza with just cheese
Hmm.
gooey melting and all of
Hmm.
that. And my husband looked at me and said, "Do you miss that?" And I looked at him for a second and said, "No, not really." I
Yeah.
mean, I I'm at a place where now that doesn't sound exciting or appetizing to me because I've
Right.
found my balance. I've found that this is procedural for me. But
Yeah.
it takes time to
Yeah.
go from where you are to where you want to go, and
Right.
people give up too soon. And they give up
No,
too
I
soon
agree.
because there's no system to support
Yep.
them. It's not anybody's fault.
Yeah.
It's just that we have so much excess in this country.
Mhm.
We're bombarded all the time. We have friends and family who have also believe in this. And
Right.
then you can't just fight this battle alone.
Right.
It's impossible. Yeah.
Yep. And it does take time. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people like are frustrated with. And so one of the things that I recommend is just taking the like small changes. Just do something small. You don't have to, it's not a everything all in one day.
Yeah.
But just start making small changes in and let those take time to become habitual.
Yeah.
And then it becomes easier. And then you'll find yourself as, yeah, because people ask me, what do you miss? What's your favorite food? What do you miss? And back in the day before I was eating this way, and they'd say, "What's your favorite food?" And I'd be like, "Oh, well, it's gumbo because I'm from Louisiana." And it's
Hmm.
like, there's nothing like a good gumbo or a good crawfish boil or a good whatever. And somebody asked me the other day, "Well, what's your favorite food?" And I was like, "Blueberries." I was like, that came off like that quick, and I was just like, "Wow, okay." But and it's funny, but like, because I can eat. I mean, just a quart of blueberries probably if I
Yeah.
just sat and just because it's just like I just can't stop. Um, and like, but how, that didn't happen overnight. That was
Absolutely.
years
And even the
for that to
sweetness,
happen.
right?
Hmm.
Like the sweetness coming from fruit
Yeah.
compared to sweetness coming from like a Snickers bar or something.
Hmm.
It's 100% different because one
Oh
is
yeah.
natural and one has fiber, the other one
Hmm.
doesn't. So it takes time for your
Mhm.
palate to adapt
Yeah.
and say, okay, I can. But I think, Jerry, maybe you agree with me on this. It doesn't take long to retrain your palate. It takes about
No.
4 to 5 weeks,
Hmm.
and you start seeing that some of those
Yep.
same foods that were like, oh gosh, I would die for a Snickers bar, and you
Hmm.
try it, it's just too sweet for you. I've
Oh yeah.
had client after client tell me that.
Hmm.
Why does everything taste too sweet or too salty? So, because
Hmm.
you've retrained your palate, you've started
Yep.
eating whole foods
Hmm.
and they have enough salt and sweetness, and you've
Right.
come to like that.
Yeah.
As simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting to see people that have followed through with it, and to see them have those moments
Yeah.
of, oh man, I used to eat this all the time, or I used to drink this all the time, and I can't anymore. And it's not because it's negatively impacting their body,
Yeah.
because it's because they're like, it just tastes bad. It tastes weird. It tastes different. Whether it's too sweet or too sour, or whatever it is. And that is, I think, the most difficult piece, and why you need a community of people around you that can help you to navigate that, because
Yeah.
those first few weeks you really are fighting. You're fighting your smell senses, you're fighting your taste buds. And so before you can ever get it to your microbiome, you're fighting a
Yeah.
battle.
And it's not very different from like an alcohol addiction or
Hmm.
anything like that, because think about AA. What do they do?
Yeah.
There's that support system.
Hmm.
You feel like having a drink, you call
Hmm.
I mean, it's pretty much addiction is not, in fact, it's worse.
Yeah.
Because you're surrounded. You can lock up your drink cabinet or
Hmm.
something like that, but food is
Right.
everywhere. It's
Yep.
ubiquitous.
Yep.
And how do we say no all the time?
Hmm.
That's why it becomes so difficult.
Yep.
And I think we do need support.
Yep.
And support comes from people like, a coach or
Yep.
family, friends,
Yeah.
saying, I applaud what you're doing. I'm
Hmm.
in on this. I'm going to help you through
Hmm.
this.
Yeah.
Not tell them, hey, come on, just break it for a day. It's not a big deal.
Right. Right.
So if anyone's listening in to this part, I
Yeah.
am so passionate about that because I feel
Yeah.
like a good friend will support.
Yeah. Well, and that's the person that you want. You don't want the person that's, oh, well, did you hear what so and so did? Because they did this or they did that, and it's like, no, this is what works for me. I've already been a week on it. I know it's gonna, I'm already feeling better. Like, that's not the point to change just
Yeah.
because you heard somebody else had better results at something they
Which is
tried.
very challenging and difficult today with the
Hmm.
whole Instagram world. There's so many shiny new objects.
Yep.
They'll try something for a week and if they feel like, oh, this is so hard,
Hmm.
they'll try to find a new one. Oh, maybe I get a pill.
Yeah.
Maybe I do something else. Maybe this
Yeah.
person said this is going to be easier.
Hmm.
There's no magic bullet.
Nope.
If someone's telling you that is I would just run away
Yeah.
because nutrition is first of all very complicated. We don't have clear data or science on anything. So
Hmm.
someone gives you these extreme views about food and nutrition or just a single mononutrient. Don't do this, eat that, or don't eat this. It's not magic,
Right.
it just needs to be something that we practice and
Yep.
so
Yep. Well, and it is so individual, and I've had other people talk about the microbiome and how it's especially in the US, it's so unique because we've had so many cultures come in
yeah.
and bring their microbiome
Yeah.
into
And their
our,
microbiome changes,
and
right?
it's yeah.
Immigrants, we come to this country and I mean, there's been many studies done on, like, for example, there's one study that comes to mind is like a whole group of, they researched people from Thailand.
Hmm.
And within like 6 months, their microbes had changed. And within 2 years, they were gaining weight and becoming
Hmm.
more obese. These were all slim people,
Yeah.
but their microbes had changed so much. Had started resembling that of the people around them. And also,
Right.
their diet had
Yeah.
changed. It became
Yeah.
the standard American diet,
Hmm.
with a lot of fatty foods and things like
Right.
that.
Yep.
So when their diet had changed, their microbes had changed. But the other way around too is you start changing your diet within a week. things change. There's one
Yeah.
diet actually that study that looked at women in South Africa and women in Pittsburgh,
Hmm.
and they had the two sets of women just swap their diets. The
Oh,
women
wow.
in South Africa were eating the women in the standard American diet,
Hmm.
and the women in Pittsburgh were eating the rural South African diet, which was really high in roughage,
Yeah.
a lot of fibrous foods, and typical rural kind of food.
Yeah.
I mean, within like 14 days, the Pittsburgh women, their all of their inflammatory markers decreased.
Oh,
The
wow.
colorectal cancer
Hmm.
markers decreased. Everything just changed within 14 days.
Yeah.
And the poor South African women, they had more
Everything.
pro-inflammatory
Yeah.
markers.
Yeah.
So that kind of tells you that
Yeah.
that's the thing that's fascinating for me about the microbiome.
Yeah.
You don't need to do it for, you do it, and within a week or two, you see that the microbes are shifting along with your diet.
Right.
How
Yep.
wonderful is that? There's,
Yeah.
you might find this interesting, Jerry. There was this, I think there was a research done on the Boston Marathon runners,
Hmm.
and they noticed that the scientists kind of looked at the microbes of these runners, and they noticed that they were really high in one particular microbe,
Yeah.
and that was really adept at digesting the lactate from the muscles
Mm.
and converting it into a short chain fatty acid called propionate.
Yeah.
And then they injected or put it into a mouse model, and realized that the mice were running much farther and faster
Oh, wow.
because of this microbe.
Nice.
So
Hmm.
people, athletes, endurance run, all of them
Hmm.
have better microbial populations
Right.
because exercise is important, it's
Hmm.
key. And the other way around too is making, so it's bidirectional.
Right.
So for me in my practice, exercise is a huge component.
Yeah.
I mean, depends on where you are in your life. I mean, especially women, I do say strength training
Hmm.
and all of that, but
Yep.
because I see the connection between
Oh,
your
yeah.
microbes, your hormones, and
Hmm.
there's no doubt that exercise is important, diet is important, sleep
Yeah.
so important, and how you handle stress.
Mhm.
We're not walking away from stress anytime soon.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's always in some form. How do we deal with stress? What do
Yep.
you do? And
Yeah.
some people find religion, they find
Right.
going to church or being around people that very beneficial. Others do meditation,
Hmm.
breath, whatever works for you. Find a system that really
Yeah.
keeps your stress levels at bay or
Mhm.
manageable.
Right. Yep. Because that stress also affects the hormones,
Oh, definitely.
right?
Cortisol, for
And then,
example,
yeah.
we have so many cortisol receptors around our belly.
Hmm.
And when we have too much cortisol, that's when the belly fat increases.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing because
Right.
you don't want too much visceral fat.
Yep.
And everyone's different. Every culture, every race is different on how you handle how much visceral fat.
Hmm.
But that's putting a lot of burden on all of your important organs, like your
Right.
heart and your pancreas. And
Yep.
that can increase your blood sugar imbalance. You could
Hmm.
become more insulin resistant. Your blood pressure
Yeah.
could go up. Your cholesterol could go up. So it's not you have to look at it from every perspective and every
Right.
system in this body.
Right.
And everything says diet, lifestyle play a
Hmm.
huge role
Right.
in without, especially if, I don't know about you, but for me, a lot of my clients come in because they're so tired of taking medications and
Hmm.
dealing with side effects.
Right.
So they want a more natural approach.
Hmm.
They've heard and they've looked at research and they said,
Right.
"Oh, diet and lifestyle do make a difference.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try that, give it a try."
Right. Right.
So
Well, in the medication side of it is there's so many different in it, and whether it's specifically looking at weight loss, but also like all the other chronic medications that are out there, whether it's cholesterol or high blood pressure or, you know, organs that are starting to fail. And so you're taking something to help supplement the body to help that. But so many of them are targeted at just one thing.
yeah,
right? And I always find that fascinating when you're like, oh, okay, well, if you've got pain and whatever, or function problems in this part of your body, take this and it'll go straight to that. And I'm like, it's toxic to everything.
Yeah.
It's affecting everything in a negative way.
And that is so
And
true.
and
Yeah.
food's the only thing that's helping the whole body in a
Yeah.
positive way.
Yeah. Like, for example, let's say you have acid reflux,
Mhm.
right? And your doctor gives you a PPI,
Mhm.
a proton pump inhibitor. My biggest problem with that is, okay, fine, it helps you for a short time, but they never get off of it.
Right.
And being on a long-term PPI can affect your microbes. It's
Hmm.
killing all of the good guys.
Yep.
Your pathogenic load can increase.
Yep.
A simple example could be like someone on a hypertensive medication, like for blood pressure. I had a client who was on like two medications,
Hmm.
and she, every time she'd come, she was coughing, coughing,
Yep.
coughing up so much. And I said, "What's going on? What's with this cough?" She said, "I don't know what it is. I know, but ever since I've started eating this way, I'm feeling better, but the cough is persistent.
Hmm.
It's so I was trying to figure this out. And then I looked at all the medication she was on. And then I looked at the particular drug she was on for hypertension and
Hmm.
realized that one of the side effects of the medication she was on was cough.
Hmm.
I said, go back to your doctor and tell him that this is what you researched and you found out. And can he switch the medication?
Right.
I mean, within days, her cough disappeared. But
Yeah.
this poor woman had been struggling with that cough for so long, and
Hmm.
no one had thought to connect the dots.
Right.
That's what happens in our system today
Oh yeah.
because we have so many specialists and
Hmm.
teams, and no one's talking to each other,
Right.
and at the peril of the patient.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's connecting those dots
Yeah.
and realizing how something's given for something completely a different part of the body, but it's affecting something else negatively.
Yeah.
And not realizing it. And a lot of times it's because and it's not all the doctor's fault from the standpoint of their specialty is
Yeah.
this part of the body. They're looking
Yeah.
at this. And and they're busy and they're seeing so many patients, and they
Yeah.
might just write it off as like, oh well, it's allergy
Yeah.
season,
No, I
and
don't blame the doctors
like
at
there's
all.
things like
I
that
have,
happen.
yeah, because it's not the doctor's fault. They are in a
Mhm.
model or a system where they get maybe 7 or 8 minutes with a patient.
Right.
There's and in within the 7 or 8 minutes, they need to look at you, they need to write a prescription, maybe, they need to write notes.
Mhm.
It's impossible. It's an
Yeah.
impossible. You're asking the impossible of the
Yep.
doctor.
Yep.
So until our system changes,
Right.
I don't see how, I mean, we need more healthcare, that's for sure.
Well, and that's where you become your own advocate, and
Yeah.
you have to have your team around you that's knowledgeable about what's going on and
Mm,
can pick up on those things like, oh wait, well, what? Why are you still coughing?
mm,
Like, why is this happening? This, if this was related to the food intake, it should have cleared up, but it hadn't. So where's the
yeah.
disconnect type of thing?
And it's
Um,
impossible to ask about. I mean, especially, you have a lot of people with allergies today.
mhm.
Autoimmunity is on the
Hmm.
rise. Yeah, I mean, we didn't, growing up, I don't think we had problems with peanuts. And,
No.
you know, this has all become so crazy.
Yep.
EpiPens at
Yep.
schools and things like that. And it's the monocropping. There's so
Mhm.
many reasons we're
Right.
struggling today.
Yeah.
But a big part of it is we have cut down on oral tolerance. We're
Yep.
not eating diverse foods.
Yep.
We're mono eating because of, in the name of convenience.
Hmm.
And most of us, I mean, and it's again, it's nobody's fault. We're
Yeah.
struggling to put food on the table.
Right.
We're such a, we're a country that's really divided
Oh yeah.
socioeconomically,
Oh yeah.
and it bothers me to the core. And
Mhm.
it's I don't know how we can fix it
Mhm.
unless the whole system changes.
Right. Right. Um, Well, and I looked at the clock, and I want to apologize for we've gone on and on and on, and I want to
Oh,
respect your time. Um, so
wow.
Anu, so you've mentioned a book, and I know your business of Nine Arms of Wellness. Like, how can people follow along with what you're doing, get the book to learn more about what's going on?
Yeah. Thank you for asking, Jerry. My book is on Amazon and it's called Flourish from Within.
Okay.
It's great. It's number one in fiber. Really excited
Yeah.
about that.
Awesome.
And so my website is ninearmsofwellness.com, and people can reach me there. On
Okay.
Instagram, it's at Nine Arms of Wellness.
Okay.
And that's my business. It's my philosophy. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, and I mean, it's working in all the things like I love what you're doing.
Thank
And I
you.
love the approach that you're taking because I fully believe the same thing. It's not just here's the blueprint and go do it. There's so many different pieces to the puzzle to help people be successful.
Yeah.
Because I mean, while there may be a 0.5% of the population that could take the blueprint and run with it and do it, but the rest of
Yes.
us all need people around us to help us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. It's
Yeah,
I think everyone needs a system.
yeah,
And I think James Clear said that brilliantly. I think we can't really go after our goals without a system. And
right.
I so believe that. I believe that we all need that system to
Mhm.
support us, take us from where we are to where we want to go, and believe in that system and make sure
Right.
that the system works for us.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
So,
Thank you so much. That
of
was
course,
wonderful.
yeah, it's been great. Thank you. Thanks for checking out the Confidence Through Health podcast. Please subscribe, post a review, share this episode with those you love who need a little extra help with their health journey. Visit allinhealthandwellness.com to learn more about the coaching programs that I provide. All episodes are produced by the Social Media Cowboys, your source for all online marketing needs. Go to socialmediacowboys.com for more information.